are. Welcome back to part 2 of the exclusive coverage of the 2014 Scouting for Bricks LEGO event in Northern Virginia. In this segment, we're going to get to interview some of the 501st Legion. That's right, the official Star Wars worldwide costuming group called the 501st Legion was kind enough to show up. Actually, they made a huge showing at this event, so I was particularly excited to get to this event to talk to some of them. So let's see what some of them have to say.
I'm Doug. I go by Buried Egg. I got everybody else's names. You can find me as Buried Egg everywhere, like with a hyphen, without a hyphen, Buried Egg on Facebook and Twitter and all that crap. Huh?
So you got the monopoly going on.
I'm hoping. I think I could ask, like, if you could say a few words on how you build these things, like what the build out is like, the difference maybe between a hero.
I bought them.
No! Are you serious? And you just weathered them yourself?
No, they came pre-weathered.
Oh, so you bought them from other builders.
I bought them from a guy who's also in the Legion. He's, I want to say California.
Are these like master replica or something like that?
No, what he did was he made like a negative mold. He got the actual gun, put all the pieces on it, made a negative mold, then he fills it up with foam rubber and puts like a rod through the middle of it, all it all together.
I had no idea that's what you meant earlier when you said that. You said about the rod and the foam. I didn't realize you meant seriously a cast. So this is just a cast. I'm so glad I asked. I was like, do I really want to turn the camera back on and bug you about the weapons one more time? And I'm glad that I asked, because that is, I can't believe it. Really, I'm telling you, it really looks to me like separate components. Like these.
Some of it is like.
Right, the back was metal. I think you mentioned.
Mine are different from the one he has. His is pretty much all one piece. As you can see, there's no gap. Like mine is separate plate put on, and then that's separate.
I think
put on.
I'm going by memory, but I think the gap is more accurate. The no gap is less accurate, screen accurate.
Yeah.
Are there any of these that you would call hero version, and any that you would call like background? You know, like pulse rifles from Aliens.
Pretty much every gun used in the movie was
hero version.
A hero version.
Wow.
Actual gun.
Man.
Some of the scenes, if you look carefully, they're actually using the glass. You see the cartridge.
I actually didn't notice that. I have to be honest.
I had an interesting conversation with a member of the Mandalorian Mercs. Mandalorian Mercs is another costuming group, kind of a sister group to the 501st without actually being the 501st. He was talking about the way the younger generation of Star Wars fans that came before my own generation are perceived. He's about 20 years younger than myself, and this is a newer generation of Star Wars fans that wasn't around to see the original trilogy when they were in theaters. And he was generous enough to tell us all about how he was first exposed to and subsequently fell in love with Star Wars.
I was 4 years old at a Sears. My parents were taking birthday pictures of me in the checkout. We were checking out.
4 years old?
Yeah, I was 4 years old. And we were in the checkout line, having gotten something else, and there was this cardboard skate holding box sets of the original trilogy. And I had no idea what it was, but on the top of the cardboard structure was a picture of Darth Vader's helmet.
Scary.
Daddy, what's that?
Yeah.
And my dad said, that's Darth Vader's son. That's Star Wars. I was like, can I have it? And so there was this moment of my parents conversing in hushed tones. And finally, yes, I got the original trilogy at 4 years old.
He's scary looking. Darth Vader is really, really scary.
It was like the alluring kind of scary. You know he's going to be the bad guy. You know nothing good's going to come with that helmet.
You got it.
You want to know what it was. And so that's what got me to ask for it.
Yeah.
And, it was the release before the edit.
Wait, what year would this be?
This would have been 1994.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's when they were putting a lot of stuff out again.
So
original trilogy.
And that was before the producers re-edit. So that was before the re-edit. And
oh my God, you got the real thing then. You got the.
And to top it off, at the beginning of every VHS tape was a 20-30 minute interview with George Lucas. I got that edition.
That is awesome.
And I popped them in that night. I watched the entire trilogy in the space of 2 days. and I was hooked ever since.
But still, was it the Lucas interviews where he's talking about, like, this is back, they were shot back in the 80s,
Yep.
where he's like, a special effect without a story is a very boring thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I grew up on those. I grew up on it. So you experienced it much the same way as I did. There's no way, like, an old geezer like me can come up to you and be like, you don't know Star Wars. You absolutely, you experience it the same way.
People say that to me, and
I know you have, yeah.
And honestly, you know, it's this funny moment every time. You know, I never take offense to it because, you know, I am a young man of blood. You know, I'm only like, I'm still in my early 20s.
Yeah, but
And
you
so
get it though.
I completely understand, but you know, there's always this funny moment for me of really.
I also want to ask how far did you guys travel from to make this weekend?
I'm coming out from Fairfax City.
Oh, no kidding. Is everybody else 501st local here? Someone mentioned
here. We're part of Garrison Tyrannus, which is the 501st unit in Virginia.
Yeah, I'm always on your webpage. So I heard someone mention Kentucky like 20 minutes ago.
One of our guys who used to live here, he's moving back in October. He's in the Army. He was stationed at Fort Lee by Richmond. He's now at Fort Knox in Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
I had to go visit him back in October and again back in March. For March was Lexington Comic Con. I went out there to go hang out with them.
Yeah.
The other members out of Mid-South.
But does that mean he doesn't get to participate in this local stuff anymore?
No, I mean, he's still an alumni from Tyrannus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, anyone can shoot anywhere with any other garrison. Like, we were supposed to have had a couple guys from Maryland come down, but they couldn't make it.
Wow.
But everyone, every comic book member is welcome everywhere else.
Wow. That is awesome.
Now, anybody who knows me personally knows I worked my butt off last year on a Darth Vader costume. I was trying to do a screen-accurate Vader costume for Halloween. So there's no way I was going to leave this event without asking the 501st themselves about how they put together their costumes and props.
About the...
Well, you're not going to leave me with the only one being embarrassed today?
Yeah, I'll have to admit on film, the other most embarrassing thing of building my Vader outfit was going to the women's section of Ross Dress for Less and buying women's boots. I had to do it, the mud and snow boots. That's the only way to get the right toe.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're never going to be a true armor builder until you walk into a hardware store, go to the plumbing section, and try stuff on. Yeah. That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah. And what did you say about Joanne's fabric? I'm getting close to your mouth so your voice will come through.
Oh, just the thing. I'll be by my first name in there now. There's no such thing as the women's section once you
have no shame.
Once you join a costuming group.
Yep, absolutely. I had somebody give me a hard time about my Hot Toys figures. You know, they have like real human hair. Someone said, you're playing with dolls, and I said I also fight over at the Hillcrest Boxing Club. You know, come anytime. You get beat up by a guy who plays with dolls. You know, it's the same thing. I would love somebody to say something to me while I'm in TJ Maxx in the women's section. Be more than happy to, you know, absolutely.
Another way to do it is thrift stores. Thrift stores up the wazoo.
Yeah, I was wondering about this.
If you go to the thrift store, you know, you can run into things you might never see again because, you know, there's things that other people had that might not actually be sold anymore.
Good point. One thing I wanted to ask you about the 501st, I was talking with the other guy, I can't remember his name, he's dressed as like a Mandalorian without armor. And he's saying that he's not actually 501st. And I think it's great that you guys actually welcome someone in a costume that's not 500. Like no one from the 501st has like gone and said, hey, this guy is not with us. Like you guys are totally open. Like when I go on your website, I mean, I love using your website for costume reference. Like I was talking about my Darth Vader, for example. The feeling I get is like you've got to be up to spec, and there's like a standard to be met. But you guys are actually a lot more welcoming and open. Like no one said like, hey, this guy's not with us, so just.
He's actually also a friend of one of our members, so that's he's the one who invited him here to help us out.
Awesome. Yeah, he's really great. He's easy to talk to.
He's a member of the Mandalorian Merchants, which is one of our sister groups. So
yeah.
We're all just one big family.
That's awesome. I just want to let you know I would never ever show up in my half-finished Darth Vader suit at a 501st event because the fear is that this guy walking around in this Vader suit is with a 501st and his suit is not up to spec, you know? So yeah, no, that's definitely a cool thing to know. Hey, one last question. The 501st approves of the Black Series 6-inch line? Definitely approves, okay. Because I mentioned earlier I don't, but it's good to have a different opinion. Absolutely, I like that.
So all said and done, these guys were a great bunch to talk to. They were also super professional and a real class act. I think if you've read about them online, the 501st Legion, it may seem like just a bunch of crazy guys wearing Star Wars costumes, you know, from movies from 30 years ago. But actually, there's a huge difference. It's very noticeable when engaging any of the members. There's a huge difference between just a crazy fan in a costume, a homemade costume, and then one of these guys. I mean, just their professionalism and their openness and willingness to answer questions, and the way they manage fans too. I mean, these guys are busy wrangling little kids and parents, and everybody's clamoring to get a chance to talk and shake hands with them, and they're answering my questions at the same time. Some of these guys are actually, it's not on camera, but some of these guys are actually trying to eat lunch, and I was coming up to them and talking, and they just drop the plate, you know, whatever they're doing, more than happy. They just don't run out of energy, and I will say these costumes are hot to wear, and they're some of them are extremely heavy too, so these guys are like Energizer batteries. I don't know where they get the energy to keep that level of professionalism under that load. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and don't forget to click on the links to the other 2 parts of the series of coverage of the 2014 Scouting for Bricks LEGO event.
Too many voices still debate. Should I die if I don't know I like alive?
You are not too short for a stormtrooper.
My Legion nickname is Too Tall.
Really?